I fear what the future of DC movies will be. If James Gunn does this to DC, then don't bother seeing any of the upcoming films.
Didn't I see the Suicide Squad that he did like a couple of years ago?
I felt as if my time was stolen from me, and I was misled by everyone who said this was a good movie.
Ooh, man.
That's who misled you? Who are these people?
Everybody, apparently.
A great one.
That was a 1-star review from IMDb. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Spoilers Intended, a podcast about series and films. I'm Steven, joined as always by Andrew.
Hello.
And Ryan.
Hello, hello, hello.
So if the James Gunn references in the intro didn't give it away, we're not talking about
or
DC.
Or the thumbnail in the episode that they clicked on.
Or the words that brought them here. But if it didn't give it away somehow, we are firmly talking about Marvel Cinematic Universe's latest release, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Volume 3.
Mm-hmm.
The third, if you will. You can't threed this one. Thank you very much. I dare you to try.
You just say G3.
G3 is an expo, isn't it? Isn't that like an entertainment expo?
It's E3.
E3.
I thought there was a G3 too.
No,
you're thinking of G4, the TV show.
Yeah, you're thinking G4.
Channel.
Or the G8. But either way, anyways, before we get too derailed here, we figured we're coming up on the summer blockbuster time when we just get bombarded with movies and we spend a lot of time in theaters.
I mean, we're kind of in it, aren't we?
We have entered it. We have definitely entered it.
Now that it is May, we have absolutely entered the blockbuster season.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Guardians just landed, right? And landed on the exact same date 6 years ago that Guardians Volume 2 released on.
Oh, really?
Yes. That was. I'm going to go burn that trivia.
I'm curious if it outperformed Guardians 2.
Oh, we'll find out when we get further in.
Yeah. I haven't done a single lick of research.
I haven't either. Stick around, listeners, and you'll find out.
It's okay. Someone did, so we're safe. Furiously looking things. No. But before we get into that, because again, like I said, we are entering that season. We figured we'd take a look. We put together a list of trailers and things that are coming out, and figured we'd do a quick rundown and maybe give some opinions. Are we excited about this? Do we care about this? Have we kept up? If we're looking at something that's multiples in of some kind of seasons or episodes or whatever.
Yeah.
What's coming up? What are we excited for? What should you be excited for? Right.
Yeah, let me look at this list here. Let's start at the top here with Dune Part 2.
Oh, man, I'm so excited for this.
When that hit in the trailer, I was like, yeah. There's that Dune music. I loved the first Dune movie. So for full disclosure.
Which you did not get to review, but me and Steven did.
Yeah, you guys reviewed it and loved it, I assume.
Yes.
Oh, yes. So watching that trailer when it came out, just at home, I was like, okay, cool, Dune 2 is coming up. When it was on the screen, I was like, man, I just want to go home and watch Dune.
Well, again, you have like a clock radio that you listen to. For. Like, there's a difference in.
Now, he has a Game Boy that he's turned into a monitor, and he watches it on there.
He's got a ham radio that he's hooked up.
No, it's one of those old Nokias, you play Snake on.
You wish. You wish. That thing's got more bass than your TV.
That's too much fidelity already.
So I listened to the Dune audiobook before the first movie came out. And it's one of those that I've always wanted to read, but Dune's like a very dense, science fiction.
But the first book is worth it, like the actual
I am halfway through the first book. I got literally, I was listening to the audiobook, and it was so long, because the first book is very long.
It's it's 28 hours, 30-something hours.
I had the audiobook listening app I was listening to on 1.5 speed, and the thing where it automatically removes any gaps in the speech or whatever. And I still,
it's a lot.
2 weeks was listening to it on my commute to work, back, doing chores, yard work, listening to it. I got exactly to the scene they end the first movie on.
Yeah.
And then I had to return it because I rented it from the library. And so I was like, perfect. When I got to the end of the first movie, I was like, yes, that's as far as I got. So now I have to pick back up before this fall. But I'm super excited. I loved the first one. I can't wait for both of them to be out so I can buy a box set collector's edition with both of them. I'm really excited.
Yeah, well, and Denis Villeneuve is a fantastic director, and clearly, he had at least a little bit of control over how they did the trailer. I think it definitely still has a little bit of his style in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's man, just everything about that. I'm ready for it.
I'm so excited.
Oh, man.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
So, I love Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this movie's going to be pretty bad.
Really?
Yes.
See, I'm the opposite.
It looks too much CGI.
The first trailer, the first teaser had me like, oh no.
Yep.
Every sequential trailer, so the first trailer came out, I was like, okay, this new one, the trailer 2 that came out, I was like, okay, I'm getting on board a little bit.
Nah, fam.
You're out?
No,
Okay.
I am not. Now,
I'm optimistic.
I want to be surprised.
Right.
And if you can make me go to the theater, which I'm already going to go because we have to review it. If I go to the theater and I walk out, I'm like, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
Can we walk back to the part where you said nah fam just a minute ago?
Nah, fam.
Let's have a counter of how many times Andrew for the first time said nah fam.
Put that in the jar.
All right, fam, where are you at on it?
Please stop. So the first trailer, I was kind of like, I feel like this is probably going to be mediocre at best.
You don't have the fourth movie.
Right. I have not seen the fourth movie
soon.
yet.
Soon it's coming.
They're twisting my.
So you don't have the stigma that we have. We're going into this going,
I don't trust. There's no trust anyways.
Yeah.
The second trailer hit. I was like, that actually didn't feel as bad as I feel like it's going to be. I do think maybe some of the de-aging stuff they're doing is...
No, the de-aging doesn't even bother me.
Good, yeah.
Everything else just looks bad.
Also
but no, granted, these are trailers, and I understand that
they don't even have final visuals.
There's not going to be final visuals. Sometimes trailer studios will even put in new visual effects to cover up stuff or whatever. Yeah. That's fine. But just from the trailer, it does not get me hyped.
Okay. Moving on. Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Where are you guys on this one?
So I haven't seen a Transformers film since Revenge of the Fallen, so I guess number 2. However, so the first trailer for this does not look good at all. The second trailer that I saw, I guess, for watching Guardians of the Galaxy that we had actually looked quite good. Yeah. I'm still not going to go see it.
Right.
But it looked good.
Oh, no, put it on the counter. We're going to make him see it. So
it's happening in media res.
All right, so I have not seen a Transformer movies since the first Michael Bay Transformers.
I thought you were going to say like 1985 Transformers.
But that's where we're going, right? So
they're bringing in Unicron in this.
Yes, the 1985 movie was all about Unicron. And
RC's in this one too?
Yeah, like the second, see, the first trailer hit, I was like, okay, that's cool. And the second trailer hit, and it's like, oh, it's Unicron. I was like, oh man, give me some 1985. Like, give me like me as a child crying.
So
let's go. That makes for a cool
story. He dies every time.
Movie,
So I saw the first Transformers. Was massively disappointed by it back in the day because I'm one of those 80s babies.
1980s.
I have a specific vision of what Transformers is, and it does not involve Optimus Prime having lips and eyebrows. Sorry, okay, Michael Bay. Like the first Transformers movies felt more like Michael Bay's midlife crisis being brought to life on screen than like a movie.
All of these movies, Michael Bay is like, you know what? Transformers have lips and turtles do not get noses.
Well,
calm down, Michael Bay.
The thing that annoyed me the most about the first one, it's emblematic of the series while he was there as a whole, is that he was like, Bumblebee should not be a Volkswagen Beetle because that's a car for grandmas. He's going to be a Camaro. Also, it's sponsored by Chevy.
Also, Chevy, give us some money. Here's an ad.
And that right there is like symptomatic of the reason I've... I saw
get it.
The first 2, I want to say, in theaters. And then after that, I was like, I'm checked out.
Yeah.
I watched Bumblebee when it came out. Did you guys watch this?
I heard Bumblebee was actually really good.
I didn't see it, no.
I don't know if it's really good. It's solid.
Yeah.
It's surprising because
it's great when you put it next to Michael Bay's
when you're comparing it to other ones.
It's set in the 80s. And all the Transformers are styled like they should be. Like Optimus Prime in this one, he's the box truck.
This was like a soft reboot from what I understood.
It was, yeah. Because I'm assuming they're not going to try to connect these two at all. Because we're already getting into like
Revenge of the Fallen. RC dies. Spoilers for Revenge of the Fallen.
Is she in that one?
Yeah, she's in it.
Who's RC?
She's the
female Autobot, pink and white.
She was a motorcycle in the original animated movie, I believe. Or is she a car?
She's like a car. She's a motorcycle in the Revenge of the Fallen.
Gotcha.
Okay. Who was the motorcycle in the old one? I think she. Michael Bay probably made her
going
car.
Down a hole here.
Yeah, we're going way off.
I'm tentatively excited about this one, but I'm probably not going to see it in theater. I would probably wait to see it.
All I know is
unless Steven puts it on the calendar.
Peter Cullen starts speaking. I'm like, oh.
I get chills every time I hear that.
Every time.
Come.
Yeah. I was like, oh, Peter. Okay, Disney's Wish.
Hey, that's
that one.
It's got like the art style with the outlines.
So
Andrew's excited.
Yeah, I am excited for this because it's still CGI. However, you can see them wanting to change some of the style and bring it back a little bit closer to 2D animation with like the black
watercolor effect.
It does, and it looks really good. I don't know anything about the story or anything like that, but if it has the same quality that like Encanto has had, and even like the Frozen 2 and that kind of stuff, let's go.
The song in the trailer was like good.
Yeah.
And then, like it seems kind of. I mean, it's a trailer. You can't really tell what's going on. But like, there's a bad guy. There's magic.
It
I'm
felt
down.
very classic. Snow White, Sleeping Beauty. These kinds of
because one of them gets turned into an animal, right?
No, the animal gets the ability to talk.
Oh, that's what it is.
Which is Alan Tudyk. Perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love them kind of changing the style and making it a little bit flatter.
Yeah.
Just because like we've gotten like with Moana and that kind of stuff where it's all very CGI.
Yeah.
And going back to even just a little bit closer to the
2D.
the promised
Bit,
land,
yeah.
I'd love it.
I'd still love it if they do 2D, but I get it.
They never will.
This is 100 years of Disney, right? So like this is the time to do as good a job you can of like remember the good old days. So this is as close as they can get apparently. I will say,
sad.
which reminded me, we have another movie coming up that's not on your list. We'll get into it, but
Just bring it on us now. Let's do it.
Well, it segs into this. It's part of this. It's the trend right now, right? Thank you, Spider-Verse, of putting some kind of other stylistic overlay on top of CGI.
Yeah.
Like I'm here for it. We also have Turtles coming up.
Yeah,
Speaking of an 80s baby.
Yeah. That one looks really good. The trailer looks
it does.
really funny.
I'm excited for
the
it.
style looks fantastic. The comedy looks pretty solid.
Yeah.
And this is really cool too that all of the characters or all the people that are voicing the turtles, they're all of age. Like they're all
actually
like
teenagers.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. No, I think I saw that maybe in the Mario movie at the beginning of that
it
trailer.
was
Mario
Mario
movie,
movie,
yeah.
Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
I am excited also about the Spider-Verse
Also-
style of animation of like
Well, the
trying to-
trend, right? Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Because you have the Pioneer, which was Spider-Verse, and then you have I'll say copycats, but they're going to be this kind of trend of like, oh, we can do that with CGI instead of making them all look super smooth. And
Make it
like,
all look the same.
Yeah, make
Yeah.
it look like a comic book. Make it look
finger on squeak.
like watercolors. Give me something.
Yeah, do something with
yeah,
it.
I like that. Okay, A Haunting in Venice.
Eh.
So
Yeah,
I didn't
just-
see the second Poirot movie, the on the Death on the Nile. I haven't watched that one yet, but I saw Orient Express and I liked it a lot. And I like
it's
Agatha
another
Christie.
pro.
So,
I mean, like I'm down.
not gonna lie. When we saw the trailer and they showed Perot, right?
Yeah.
My wife was like, "Was that supposed to be Perot?" Because you feel like they would say, like put like an Agatha Christie in the
right.
title, and they didn't. So I did not actually. I was just like, maybe it's just another dude with a cool mustache.
like played by
Yeah, like just played
Kenneth
by the-
Branagh
like-
also.
like actually advertise your film. People put the name of the like put the famous bit in there.
I don't know if it's
I like
because it's
Death of
such
the
a
Nile.
different tone that they were like.
It's very different
Yeah.
tone.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm
down.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the other two, so I don't know.
The Flash.
I really kind of hate that this looks really good.
Right.
It's like that. It's every trailer, everything I see about it makes me like it more and want to see it more.
I know, right?
And it's so bittersweet because we know that the DC universe, if you will, is basically ending with this. I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
It's-
this may be the jumping off point.
Okay.
Because
this might be
that's
like
why
a
they
reboot.
wanted to push it so hard. Because I know Ezra has caused a lot of social controversy outside
He's had a lot
the
of things
film.
He's had a
going on,
lot of
yeah.
issues.
And with that, a lot of, I'll say, lesser studios or whatever would probably just drop the film because they're like, well, we don't want any controversy with this.
Right.
Because it's such a big investment. And I guess at this point, because, all the wheels turning with James Gunn taking over and everything, like you have this kind of need to get a big win out the front. And it oddly looks really good.
well,
Yeah.
presumably, right? Because Warner Brothers cut a lot of stuff that's coming up that was supposed to be
They
part
did.
of it.
Oh, yeah, they got rid of
Ruthless, like,
Batgirl,
stuff-
they got rid of,
stuff that's like they put money
couple of
into.
things.
Yeah.
Like not just like, oh, we had a script sitting on a desk and I pushed it in the trash.
I think it was like
can,
an
right?
Aquaman
the
film.
Batgirl film was finished.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they
They could have put it
ruthlessly-
out on HBO Max or something,
Yeah.
just nowhere, and they were just like, "Nope, it's going to hurt the brand." And I was like, "Ooh,
Well, right? Like how bad can that
Yikes.
be?
Is it another Catwoman?
right."
But this making it through the cut, then being
Yeah.
like, well, this is going to theaters. presumably in the background, they're looking at be like, yeah, we made something good here. I wish, like, I don't know why it has to be the one that has Ezra Miller that's good. Because I don't, like, it's just, ugh.
But it does
He does good on screen, though. I do like his Barry
Flash.
Allen. Yeah.
Again, if you want to be a good actor, right, you're paid to pretend to be somebody else. You need to be a little crazy. Like, you go out and you get, Randy Quaid, you get Tom Cruise, you just get a little crazy in there, and it's going to be good.
Jared Leto.
Yes.
Okay, The Witcher Season 3, where do we sit on that?
I was really excited about the Witcher series just in general until Henry Cavill is going to leave. This is going to be his last season. So now I'm substantially less jazzed about it.
I also, and Steven, where have you watched The Witcher?
Hasn't seen it.
I have not.
Okay.
It's one of those things where I'm always like, like when I have some time, that's something I want to put on because I like, I like Henry.
The first 2 seasons are really, really good, and I don't know anything about the story outside of that.
I am also safe in the sense that I've never played the game. I'm not someone who can sit there and be like, oh, that's not wasn't in the book. Or
everything for me was great.
There's almost nothing from the games in this one. It's really
the books, whatever.
The books, but like, I love the books. I've read them all like 2 or 3 times. I've tried to play The Witcher 3 a few times, just can't get through it. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
It's too tedious, too clunky. The horse can't walk like a horse should be able to walk.
Just like falls off cliffs and jumps in the air and like...
I'm going to try it again one day.
Amazing
I can hear people listening to our podcast go, you got to play The Witcher 3.
It's so good.
I'll get back to it one day.
Just
one day.
Not this
go
weekend.
Go on social media and, at Ryan and put him on blast for this.
I mean, I'm still definitely going to watch this season.
I was excited about this season. At the end of season 2, they have started this deviation away from the books, and I was tepid about it, but curious to see, like, I was cautiously excited of like, okay, where are they taking it?
But now you know that he's out
now
because
I know that,
they've changed
The assumption is that it's because he changed stuff, because they had a compilation. I told Steven earlier that like it's all these interviews with Henry Cavill, and they're asking him like, or Cavill, I can't remember how you pronounce his name, but
I think
like
it's Cavill.
Pick one, go with it.
They're like, how long will you play Geralt? And he's like, as long as they stay true to the books, I'll be Geralt. As long as they stay true. And he said this across like 60 different interviews across the past.
And then
like,
they're just
8
like,
years.
and I'm out.
Yeah.
And now he's out, and it's like, I think everybody assumed it's because he was going back to be Superman.
Yeah.
Which that didn't happen. But I really think it was because they've steered too far away from.
I've seen a couple articles about like friction in there where he keeps like, he's on set like correcting, well, no, it really should be this. And it's like,
he's just the gamer guy.
Well, in the first season,
actually,
I love him.
He barely spoke in the first season.
But can you imagine someone who's like, well, actually, but they're stacked like he is? Like, okay, maybe I'll take your opinion.
They're just yoked. Could you imagine looking at a dude as yoked as Henry Cavill and be like, hush, bud, I've got it here, okay?
We already know what this is.
He's like, his shirt's ripping as he flexes. Yeah, he like Fallout, he reloads his arm. And I'm just like, oh, okay, Henry, calm down. Go to craft services, guy.
You're at like a Warhammer 40K tournament. You're like, I don't think that's the way the rule really is. They're just like, Rrr.
Hey, Henry, go paint your little toys, okay? We're riding in here. Yeah, I don't see that happening. Anyways, Fast X, where are you guys at on that one?
Man, okay, so the Fast and Furious franchise is just such a weird thing that just probably doesn't need to exist at this point. However,
the fact that it still exists is incredible in my mind.
Okay, so the new trailer that they had in Guardians of the Galaxy, it doesn't make me want to see them film more, but I'm morbidly curious because it just looks so over the top and ridiculous that I'm just here for the ride. So literal and figurative.
Yeah, I agree. Like there's so many moments in the trailer where I'm like, so we've just beyond given up on like physics.
Dude,
or
the bit where the 2 helicopters have the car hooked and lift him in the air, and then the car
suddenly gains weight.
Did Vin Diesel flex in there and the car got heavier?
He probably got a magnet.
He grips the steering wheel and he grunts a little bit and he accelerates
pushes
and it pulls it closer to the Earth's gravity. Yeah.
I
know they go into space in like the last film.
9,
I need to catch up on.
So I haven't seen 8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Yeah,
those are the last 2 I have to catch up on before I go see this one.
Which one is the farewell to Pole?
7.
Okay, that's seen through 7 then.
So last night,
I cried like a baby in.
Yeah, I know you did.
Last night I watched a compilation, like a series recap up to 8, and I was like, that way I'm ready, so I can watch 8 sometime this weekend or whenever.
That's smart. Yeah,
and like I watched it, and it was incredible to me because when you see the first one and you're like, man, I remember that movie.
How far we've come.
I remember distinctly going to the theater to see that and Gone in 60 Seconds, like the same summer, and I was like, Gone in 60 Seconds is way better in my head. I was like, Well, there's no contest. Like
honestly, the first Fast and Furious is quite good.
it is, but it was very like dude bro-y.
It's Point Break with cars.
It is, yeah.
Just at the end of the day.
And so then they showed scenes from the second one, and I'm like, I like formed no memories of this movie.
No, every time I see the movie, like I don't know what's going on.
That's the one that Vin Diesel wasn't in.
Yeah, Ludacris is in that one.
It's in Japan, right?
No. That's Tokyo Drift. That's number 3.
That's 3.
And Vin Diesel is in that film.
He is in that film.
He's in a for like a cameo.
Again, like I said, I don't have
Tyrese is in the second one.
Yes.
Ludacris. And Paul Walker. And then they showed, Tokyo Drift, which I've seen a few times. And then they showed the fourth one, which I think I've seen once.
I've only seen it once. And it's actually not
I couldn't tell you the plot of the movie offhand.
That's the one that's got the 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. That's the one that's like the lowest, I think.
The fifth one is when it actually starts taking off and becoming good again.
This is the thing that's insane to me, though. After watching that, the thing is that like the fourth one is like supposed to be the reboot of the franchise. This is, they bring Dom back. And the fourth one was terrible. Apparently, critics didn't like it.
I didn't mind it.
I don't remember watching it that much and loving it. But like the fifth one, I remember the fifth one was like incredible.
I loved it.
The sixth one was great. The seventh one was good. So like I need to catch up on 8 and 9. But yeah, Fast 10. It looks like you said, we don't need these. And Jason Momoa is just playing like ultra Momoa in this.
Yeah.
It's like they just hired him. They're like, just be yourself, but like on Red Bull. And he was like, I got you, bro.
Yeah, pretty much.
He slammed the Red Bull.
But me is me on Red Bull. Give me a monster.
They try to give him direction. And he's just like, I got the Red Bull. It's fine.
I know how this works.
He just pours it in his hand, starts dabbing his neck like directly. Pat, 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 pat. It's like, that's not cologne. You don't know what it is, brother. And he gets out there.
His hair looked like that.
Yeah. There's the one scene where there's all the dudes behind him put their guns over him and he's got like his hair up and like his nails are painted. I'm like, this is so crazy. What is happening?
The trailer, like the thing in the trailer is you have all these insane scenes where he's like, I'm going to bomb the Vatican or whatever, right? And then they just cut to the bit where it's like race for your family. And it's like, wow, like we just like turned the clock way back. And how do we get like, I want to know how we got from bomb the Vatican to here.
Yeah.
How do we even,
how does that, Anyways, I want to see it just like you're saying, out of morbid curiosity. Okay, how about The Penguin, the show on HBO Max?
Meh, I'm not interested.
Okay, I liked the Batman, so I'll be watching.
I mean, I liked the Batman.
I especially liked Colin Farrell as Penguin.
Colin Farrell as the Penguin was great. I'm not interested in a TV show about it.
Yeah, I just don't know if I want to spend that much time.
I've always wanted a Batman TV show, not movies. That's been my whole thing.
It's called...
You had Batman the animated series.
That's what I used to watch. That's why I want.
It's the best version of Batman.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that.
I want a production values of the movie The Batman TV series. And that's what they're giving me with expensive. The Penguin. It's a bit too insular to me. I hope they have crossover and stuff. But yeah. Okay. The Marvels. How are we feeling about that?
I don't know really anything about it because I haven't seen the other TV shows. But the trailer was fun.
There's Miss Marvel TV show, and then obviously Captain Marvel movie. I haven't seen.
Oh yeah, and then the girl, she was the one in WandaVision.
Yeah.
Rambo. So that's the only piece of it, WandaVision, that I've seen to know really where we are.
I mean, it looked fun.
I mean, it looks fine. Yeah. I just don't know. I need to catch up.
Yeah.
Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Across the Spider-Verse.
I was not impressed with the first 2 trailers that they came out with, but the latest one really gives me hope that it's going to be quite good.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I didn't really care for. I mean, the teaser was like fine, and then this one's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think Oscar Isaac's going to be
something.
great. Like.
He's the bad guy, I guess?
The bad guy, yeah.
Presumably, yeah. I'm a little scared for it because, again, the first one was so good. Like, don't mess this up.
Well,
but I still want to see it.
You can't really go higher than that.
Right, it's
hard.
almost
a perfect film, so then you're just going to be a little bit less.
If they do go higher, though, whoo.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, give me the Trinity explosion. Christopher Nolan.
Big Christopher Nolan fan.
A lot of practical effects.
Yeah, it looks really good.
You're telling me the world could explode.
Cillian Murphy looks perfect for the role.
Yes, he does.
I don't think I've ever seen a picture of actual Oppenheimer. Does he look like him?
He's pretty close.
Pretty close?
Yes, close enough.
Yeah.
Nice. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
I am super excited for this film.
Yeah, let's go.
I can't wait.
Let's go.
I'm super excited.
Tom Cruise, they even give you a scene of him running in the trailer. Like,
So I'm sold. Funny, I think I missed that scene because I watched that trailer being like, I'm not seeing Tom Cruise running. Is this movie going to make money?
There's definitely going to be a car chase with, I think it's a Fiat or maybe a
like a Citroen?
Citroen, yeah. Just in the trailer. Looks really great.
I am frustrated that it's part one. I'm not wild about movies that do that part.
Different.
Yeah.
Don't say
just,
part one.
Don't tell me it's part one. Just assume they're going to make another because Tom Cruise wants money, right?
Because especially these last few have all connected, kind of. So like, why do you have to have the part one?
We don't need to have a part one.
Like that one makes me nervous that it's going to end on such a cliffhanger that I'm going to be angry for 6 years. Months. Or do we know when the second?
No, we have no idea.
6 months.
Well, I was hoping they'd do like the Harry Potter where they did like
that was year by year,
or like
it was like 6 months when it was like
Lord of the Rings,
like Christmas and summer or something.
Yeah. No, Lord of the Rings was Christmas to Christmas.
Well, no, Christmas. Yeah, it was one every year.
Right. Yeah. Well, he's talking about Deathly Hallows. I do think Deathly Hallows wasn't a full year between them, but I'm not positive.
Didn't the Hunger Games do the same thing?
Yeah, Hunger Games definitely did the same.
It was like close. It was like
there's a new Hunger Games trailer out too.
What?
It's a prequel to President Snow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just your description made me tune out. Barbie.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited for Barbie. I love Greta Gerwig, so I'm excited to see what she does.
So apparently, Ryan Gosling said this is the best script he has ever read.
There was
I saw that. Yeah,
I think it was Cillian Murphy saying this is the best script I've ever read about Oppenheimer, and then Ryan Gosling said this is the best script I've ever read about Barbie. Like they tweeted the same day. Or something.
They released on the same weekend.
Yeah. So they released on the same weekend, and from what I heard, Greta Gerwig has kind of taken a lot of inspiration from like The Matrix and The Truman Show and a couple other things.
Yeah.
So
she's gonna get weird with it.
Yep.
I'm here for it. Ahsoka.
This looks pretty good.
I like this trailer.
I'm ready for this.
Yeah. I hope it steers closer to the Andor side of things, as opposed to
like the Mandalorian side of things.
Just
Book of Boba Fett side of things.
way far away from Book of Boba Fett or Obi-Wan.
If it's somewhere between Mandalorian and Andor, that's great.
Yeah.
If it's somewhere between Mandalorian and Obi-Wan or Book of Boba Fett, there's concern. If it's between Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, there's grave concern.
Grave concern.
Well, so if you're familiar with the old Legends at this point, book series, Heir to the Empire, there's already a lot of nods to that book series in the trailer. So I'm really hoping.
Didn't they re-release like a new trilogy?
There is, there's a whole new Thrawn trilogy called Thrawn Ascendancy, I think, and it takes place during the prequel era.
But it doesn't use Heir to the Empire. Heir to the Empire is actually a reference to the
correct.
Zahn. Okay, the originals.
Secret Invasion, the Marvel series with Nick Fury.
I don't know anything about the story. The trailer looks good, though.
Cool.
So all the Secret Invasion stuff happened after I stopped reading comics. I'm ready for things to get out of the galactic side of things.
Pull it back in.
Yeah, bring it a little smaller scale.
But it's the Skrulls, right?
Mm-hmm.
The shapeshifters.
So it is going to have some galactic stuff.
It's aliens, but it's at least not like the universe is.
Yeah, it's like on Earth espionage.
That we know of.
That we know of.
Yeah, well, for this one, it doesn't feel like
Asteroid City, the Wes Anderson movie.
It looks fun.
I'm excited.
Incredibly Wes Anderson.
I'm a sucker for Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
It does look
Grand
cool.
Budapest Hotel was the last one I saw from him, so I didn't watch The French Dispatch.
I haven't either. I need to watch that one.
Grand Budapest Hotel was fantastic.
I mean, I love most of his movies.
And I love the premise of this film. Like, it's very
it's a little
space related.
sci-fi.
Yeah.
Elemental
from Pixar.
I'm not excited for this one at all.
I looked at it and I would have not known it's a Pixar movie if they hadn't put the big Pixar.
It looks like a low budget DreamWorks film.
It looks like a sequel to Osmosis Jones.
It does. Yes.
It does.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I was in the theater. I was going like, is this just Osmosis Jones Part 2? Like, what is this?
That's wow.
I mean, like the hair on the water dude.
The curl. That is Osmosis.
Yeah.
Oh my
exactly.
gosh.
I was
Pixar. Why?
I'm not really interested in this one at all. I know we're going to review it because
we kind of have.
We kind of have to, but
it just like nothing about the trailer turned me around to I see the Pixar magic now.
The thing is, I could see where like Wish, from Disney, could fail to grab me, and that one grabbed me, and Elemental just has not. And that's so weird to say about something that's Pixar. We're like, it just doesn't grab me.
Yeah. Okay. That's all the trailers I got to talk about.
That's it. Well, there's a whole pack of hype coming up.
Yep.
We are going to be hitting the theaters, making reviews.
So many trips to the theater.
Yeah, my wife was like, we went to the theater twice this week. I was like, you realize we have like 2 weekends this summer. We go to the theater twice in the weekend, right?
Yeah. Because we have like Indiana Jones, Mission Impossible, then Barbie, Oppenheimer, all are going to be reviewed by us, and they're all pretty much coming around in the same 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to be ridiculous.
It's oof. But speaking of something that we are reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Back to the plot. Pull it back in.
Rein it back.
Let's back off of the future summer hype and let's talk about current summer hype. We're going to kick it off with a little basic info. So this is directed by James Gunn. Mm-hmm. Go figure. He's the director of
The other
Galaxy
two.
1 and 2.
He
Also
almost
the
wasn't the
Suicide
director
Squad.
of this one, though.
That was a whole thing.
I think it's a good thing that he is the director for this one.
100%.
I know. I remember Dave Bautista threw like a big,
Yeah.
basically like, hey, I'm gonna rip my contract up. If he's not doing
if
it,
he
like,
is
we don't
not
stick
doing
with
it,
what he
yeah.
wrote. And I can understand it.
Yeah.
So this is starring Chris Pratt, Bradley Cooper, Dave Bautista, Carrie Gillian, Zoe Saldana, Vin Diesel. That's all the names I can. No, wait, hold on. Will Poulter. All the names I can pronounce properly. Then we have Palm Clementieff. I'm sorry. And no, actually, really, I'm sorry. And Chukwudi Iwuji.
Yeah. That's pretty close.
pretty close,
That's
actually.
as good an effort as I can give on this one. Pretty big cast, honestly. A lot of names in there.
And there's a lot of like cameos and everything.
Oh yeah,
as
we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
Music by John Murphy, who did not do the first two. He did work on the Suicide Squad and 28 Weeks Later, were the two big ones I saw. Where he was like
so it's still pretty, like I'll say, a new blood.
Ish. I mean, he's worked
probably
on
got a lot. Yeah,
he's got a lot of stuff.
stuff.
Those are just the credits where I was like, okay, yeah,
like the big ones.
I mean, he worked
Yeah.
with James Gunn on the Suicide Squad, which we're gonna bring that up here later. Budget is estimated. So this is budget's fuzzy on this one. $250 million.
It's a pretty high budget.
That's a pretty high budget.
So part of where it gets fuzzy is because they shot this and the holiday special on a lot of the same sets.
Oh.
So they kind of like rolled some budget into both, if that makes sense. So it may be that they're overestimating this. I don't know, but it's not super out of line with the other Guardians.
Right.
If I go back to first Guardians was 232 million, and it actually went over budget, and second one was 200 million. So it's not super out of line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the last one.
Yeah, go big.
Yeah,
There's
so
a ton
you
of
go
stuff.
big, go
Yeah.
home.
That tracks.
So as of opening weekend, box office was 118.4 million domestic.
That's pretty solid.
That's solid.
Yeah.
Our global total haul 289 million.
Okay. That's not bad.
Right. So our openings for 1 and 2 were for 146.5 million domestic. I struggled to find international numbers for that. And then for the original, 114 million domestic.
Okay, so pretty much on par.
It's in line, a little ahead of the original, which isn't a bad place to be.
No.
But it's not killing it like 2 did.
That's surprising that 2 did so well.
I mean, it was
I guess just
hype.
because it came off of the hype from the first one.
Right.
So people were really hoping to see, more of that. I consider 2 probably be the worst out of the 3.
I would have thought, but I guess it's riding the like you say, the hype.
Kind of riding the coattails.
And plus, I'm trying to remember exactly where 2 hit. But
I think it happened before Infinity War, right?
it definitely hit it before that. So there may have been
2017.
Some more
a lot of
hype
people
towards
like,
that.
Right, yeah,
I want to see what they reveal.
Yeah, there was still a lot of we were still in the big main storyline. There were a lot of hype going on.
Yeah.
For reference, total haul for 1 globally was 773 million, and for 2 was 869 million.
Okay.
So that's neither of those they haven't been the big $1 billion.
And Guardians or Volume 3 does not have any competition until Fast X comes out in 2 weeks from recording
Yeah,
tonight.
because Mario's kind of tailing off at this point.
So it's got a whole nother weekend to really flourish in the box office until you have something else that could potentially take some away. I don't know if cause they're both superhero films at this point.
I was going to say, Fast X at this point has become a
the Venn diagram overlaps.
It probably does.
It's got to overlap some.
to some degree.
Yeah. So, anyways, guys, Andrew already kind of kicked this off by saying he thinks that the second one is the worst. But let's get some opinions on the third.
No, he just said worst performing.
No. I think it's the worst out of the 3.
He thinks
Okay.
it's the worst.
Got it.
And we're gonna get into that.
I was just making sure to clarify that.
No. So thoughts on number 3?
I really liked it. I have cried in every Guardians movie, and this one did not stop that trend. And I don't cry in movies. I am not like Andrew.
Wow, rude.
It takes a lot to get me to tear up. I feel like for me, this is the most James Gunn Guardians movie we've ever gotten, because all of his work that I'd seen before the Guardians was very violent, I would say, kind of gross and kind of comedic, but still heartfelt is the way I would try to slot it in there. And this one definitely dials up the gross factor a little bit, the gore a little bit, and like they say the F-bomb in this movie.
The first one in the
first
MCU.
one, right? And that felt like old James Gunn, right?
Yeah,
So
it was perfectly timed as well.
It's worth specifying the first in the MCU.
Yes.
It's the 9th time in Marvel films for PG-13 Marvel film.
Really? The
Really?
9th?
Yeah.
What are the other 8?
I have the list.
The Hulk.
What like this?
Nick Nolte just realizes the camera's rolling and just says F-bombs.
You have like the Venom films.
Oh, those don't count.
okay.
I mean,
So
it
again,
does count.
that's
but
why
it doesn't count.
I specified, because MCU is its own specific.
Yeah.
Okay, so
piece,
yeah, okay.
right?
Got it.
But you go into Marvel, it's a little different. I'm trying to.
I know
find
there's
the
one in
actual-
one of the X-Men in
It's
First
all,
Class.
No, it's all the
Wolverine
X-Men.
says
So
it.
it's X-Men First Class,
Yeah.
Ghost Rider, the Wolverine, X-Men Days of Future Past, X-Men Apocalypse, Venom, X-Men Dark Phoenix, and Venom Let There Be Carnage.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Man.
all of the pieces.
all the off-brand.
Again, it's not MCU, right?
It's the X-Men, but I don't remember it in Dark Phoenix or the
Did you actually
You
watch
saw Dark Phoenix?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
What's wrong with you?
it was an experience. I love the Dark Phoenix saga. I had to. It was not an
You had to
option.
know.
I didn't see it in theaters. I'll tell you that right now. I waited for it to come to HBO Max, and I said, "Okay, I'll give you my time."
And now you want your time back. You're
do.
suing them right now. He's in legal talks.
That's
We
its
can't
own.
discuss this on air. It can be used against them
This
in
could
court.
be a bonus episode. Could me be going off about the X-Men movie? So I'm not going to get into
Oh, we should. Ooh, yeah.
Y'all could just
Let's
sit
rumble.
there and listen to me
Let's
go
do-
off
we should
on
be
a
a
TED
dissertation.
talk.
Do a bonus episode
4
that's
hours.
just
It's just me, and I get more and more angry as it goes.
bonus episodes. It's budget Marvel films. It's everything that's not MCU.
You like the
Just
unreleased
discuss those.
Fantastic Four movie?
Oh,
that
my
Captain
gosh.
America movie from the 90s? We should watch those. Let's review them. Anyways,
Let's
back
not.
to my thoughts.
Yeah.
I thought the emotional core of this movie was great.
Ooh,
I
man.
think everything else around it was pretty standard Guardian stuff. Like nothing, which I guess it's kind of like, you don't want to break the mold too much on every single level or something.
Right.
So yeah, for me, I really liked it. I think it's the most James Gunn movie out of any of these, and it for me was a really fun watch. I thought it was a really good send off for. If this does end up being the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie, it's definitely the last one James Gunn.
According to James Gunn, it is.
Yeah.
But obviously, he's at DC now, and
Yeah.
And they're going to do whatever they're going to do with it.
yeah, MCU's just gonna be like, hey, we're Volume 4 coming soon. What?
You're right.
Andrew, what do you think? I want some opinions.
Oh, man. Okay, so I had a hard time watching this film.
Yeah, it can be tough to watch.
But now this is one of those things where this is not to say that I did not enjoy the film. I think this is probably the best MCU film since Infinity War and Endgame.
I would go with that because the only other thing that's been really good to me has been No Way Home.
Yeah, and like Black Panther was kind of up there, but
Black Panther was all right,
it failed kind of towards in the last quarter of the
did,
film.
yeah.
And No Way Home was good, but nowhere near as good as this. And
man.
that's the thing. I love Spider-Man, and I had like an emotional connection to him, especially Tobey
There's
Maguire.
a lot of history in that movie.
Yeah, and going into this,
I did tear up in the middle of No Way Home too, though.
I mean, that's fine. No, that's totally fine. But
When he
that's the
loses,
thing. You have like there's
When
such
the expected result happens. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
there's such an emotional.
I love
core.
Marissa Tomei a lot personally.
Get out of here.
Anyways, Andrew, keep going.
There's such an emotional core to this Guardians film that even if you are not like really hardcore into like I'll say all of the the characters and everything like that, and you care about every single one, there's more than enough here if you're an animal lover that you will absolutely find something here to really latch onto emotionally. And a lot of times that's not a very good thing because just as a disclaimer, if you haven't seen this film yet and you're just listening to the review before you go see it, there are some very disturbing and some very graphic animal cruelty things. Now, those scenes are all CGI. There's no real animals that were hurt with this, but they are very, very, very hard to watch if you are at all emotionally attached to animals. So just be aware with that. And just from my perspective, it was very, very difficult to watch because I saw it by myself because my wife was out of town and I just didn't really have anyone else that wanted to go with me. So I went and saw it, and it was just a tough watch. And going through it, like, there are some very good moments in the film that really hit you hard, especially if you're familiar with, obviously the other stuff that's come out before it, especially obviously the other two Guardians films. But there's a lot of times where the comedy is either hit really, really well or incredibly tone deaf. And whenever they try and basically come and release tension from a really emotional backstory or anything like that, there are some times where it hits really, really well, and it's like, oh, good. This is like a little bit of a better pace change, where sometimes you're just like, ooh, this is just not, like, we just came from that. I don't want any of this right now.
I need a minute. Yeah.
And it takes a little bit long for it to get back into its kind of rhythm every once in a while in the film. So it's very hard to, like, kind of get through, especially if like that type of comedy, the kind of gross out comedy and everything, just doesn't really hit you very well. So that's kind of where I was. Like, I didn't not enjoy the film, but there was a lot to the film that I wish I didn't have to watch.
Okay, I think that's valid completely.
Yeah.
I personally didn't have that issue, and I am an animal lover. I think it is hard to watch those scenes, but for me, that makes the other scenes pay off more because
it makes you absolutely want to just destroy the main bad guy.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
But I agree that, like, this is not for everyone.
And it's absolutely one of those things where, like, they do a very good job at justifying a lot of the stuff that happens.
Yeah.
And you know that he is a truly evil person.
It's shockingly probably the least kid-friendly Marvel movie
100%.
that's maybe ever come out.
Dude, we had like a whole family down our row. I like small children. I was watching this. I was just like, what are these kids doing? Or, like, what is going on?
What is happening in their little brains?
Pure nightmare fuel happening down here.
Yeah, this is like, it kind of felt like watching Fox and the Hound for the first time. Just like that kind of emotional trauma that happens with animals.
The specific scene, Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, there's just a lot in here, and it's it's not necessarily that it's bad or that it was executed probably the best out of any Marvel film that I've seen. Period. Okay. Just emotional wise and everything like that. It just doesn't. I don't think I'll ever watch this film again. Just hands down.
Okay, well, we got that part of the show out of the way early.
Steven.
So I will say, right, because we've had some feedback from one of our friends who's a listener as well, who had recently had a pet pass away. And I know, obviously, Andrew, y'all had the same issue. Like, I think that your mileage is going to vary a little bit based on how hard the emotional core latches onto you, right? Because once it's a hold of you, it's a roller coaster. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. Because for me, like, again, super, pet, have had animals all my life.
You've worked at a vet.
Oh man, don't get me, don't. Anyways, like, it's hard to watch some of this stuff, and I didn't feel the same tonal issues with the comedy that Andrew. And I think at that point it's just that it has such a good hold of you that it can't release. There's no tension to release there. Yeah. Whereas for me, it felt like they mostly hit everything pretty much as they should have. But it definitely walked the line of, this is about as dark as you can get in a Marvel film,
especially a PG-13 film.
Right? Yeah. But about as dark as you can get, and still come out of it and be like, okay, well, this is a good film, right? And not just be like, this is absolutely, like, scarring, horrifying, etc.
Well, I'm glad that James Gunn pushed it to this limit before he left, just to, if nothing else, just remind everybody of, like, what can be done in an MCU movie still without having to, like,
super
like you're saying, like, he pushed it to the edge of, like, they were close. I guarantee there's an edit out there of this movie that is, they did take it too far.
Where we're just like, nope.
Sorry. Anyways.
No, I mean, I just I was just kind of reiterate, like, this is, like, I'm not saying that I didn't like the film,
right?
Because I think it's definitely the best film that they've come out with since Infinity War and Endgame, hands
for sure.
down.
Phase 4 and 5, like,
that's not even. This is like really a competition. It's not fair to compare the other films that came out since then to this film.
Honestly, if this film had landed inside of Phase 4. Right, and we had like this and No Way Home in Phase 4. People would be like, "Wow, Phase 4 was."
They would,
it may not have been strong for, like, building a connected storyline, but in terms of, like, we had
emotional
some real hitters,
attachment.
So if nothing else, for as much as Phase 4 kind of floundered, Phase 5 seems to be kicked off with a bang.
Yeah, well, because we did have Quantumania.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the best film, but it also wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, though.
And then you have this that comes out directly after it. And like this was like watching this, it felt like I was watching back in Phase 1, Phase 2, whatever.
I mean, this is borderline to me one of those films. We have the cinema people, right? Like Scorsese or someone who's like, well, it's not real cinema.
Yeah.
This is pushing about as close to real cinema in between Marvel stuff as you get, kind of thing.
I do also want to give a huge shout out to the animators that worked on Rocket's like 3D model and
facial expressions.
Because I think conveying the emotions that he goes through through CGI is fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
That we've definitely hit a point to where, like, especially whatever animation team, I'm sure like 18 different companies worked on this.
Groups, yeah.
Whoever was in charge of Rocket's emotions, way to go.
Good job. Bang up job. Yeah, I mean, so aside from all the animal stuff, right, I will say I did feel like this film, in terms of their use of music, was maybe the weakest.
Yeah, it was.
It felt like
it did have moments.
It felt like the story took the forefront, and it didn't have there's a couple good examples of music being used properly.
Right. It felt less like first Guardians especially, but also second. Like, it was very smooth. Like, the way they inserted it in was very smooth. Whereas this one, it really felt like they just inserted it in there.
Yeah.
There were definitely a couple of scenes where it was like, we need something here. Here's this one.
Do a Guardians thing.
Something else too that I just thought of as we're getting kind of closer to the spoiler wall. If you were going to go see this film and you have not watched the holiday special, Christmas special, whatever, you need to go watch that, because there are certain characters that do get introduced in the Christmas special that don't exist, that you haven't seen, or haven't really been introduced yet.
I have not seen the Christmas special.
What? No, I don't think that's true.
No, that is true.
I don't think that's true.
I guarantee you.
When we get over the spoiler wall, we're going to hash this one out. I feel like in order to really watch this, you need to see the other two Guardians. And you have to have seen Infinity and Endgame.
Yeah, you definitely
to be able to make sense of
Endgame.
other pieces.
Yeah.
Well, but then you have to see Infinity War to see Endgame. Then see all of Phase 2 and 1.
The required homework that the MCU is becoming is arduous.
It's getting a little heavy at this point.
I will say that this movie is extremely self-contained in a lot of ways compared to other
I've got to complain about that, though, because as good a villain as they give us, I wish it was a little more spread into other pieces.
Yep.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, speaking specifically with like the amount of homework for this movie, I think if you've already seen the two first Guardians, you've seen Infinity War and Endgame, you're pretty much good to go. Yeah, you don't have to have watched Ant-Man Quantumania. You don't have to.
Right. And it's not Ant-Man Quantumania where you could basically just walk into it cold and be fine.
Right.
But it's about as tether free as it gets within MCU these days.
Yeah.
So we're kind of winding this down here. Rewatch, recommend. We already heard from
Not
Andrew.
Going to rewatch it.
Not going to rewatch it.
I would recommend it, but just be prepared.
Yeah.
Ryan?
I would definitely recommend it, especially if you like the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a no-brainer, obviously. I will definitely rewatch it. I went and saw it by myself, so my wife wants to see it at some point. I don't know if we'll go to see it in theater, or if we'll just wait for it to hit Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll definitely rewatch it with her for sure.
Yeah, I think, given some of the caveats we put out there, still a high recommend. This is one of the best films they've put out in years. Rewatch, sure. Anytime soon, probably not. It's going to be a little while.
Right.
Yeah.
No sleep till
All right, if you want to see the highest evolution of content in a utopia that is called spoilersintendedpodcast.com, you can get access to all sorts of stuff. Previous episodes we've done, links to our Discord.
Yes.
What's on that, Stephen?
Well, we love to go on there and have chats about all kinds of things, both
that is what
related.
The program does.
It is. It's about discussion, not anger and violence, but we have lots of great channels in there where we talk about, what are we cooking, hobbies, stuff we're listening to, reading, watching, both podcast related and not, and also a whole spoiler hub in there where we talk about behind spoiler walls. You can choose to participate or not of things like, the movie that just came out here, Guardians 3, or other TV shows, things maybe that are or aren't being reviewed by us, right?
Yeah, and we do have a social media presence. It's not as large and as diverse as the Guardians of the Galaxy cast. We only have two.
I think it's the biggest of any podcast.
Probably.
Yeah, it's two things.
We have Facebook and Instagram. So you can follow us on Facebook, and you can kind of see what we're going to be reviewing the next week is with what to watch or where to watch.
Yeah.
And
your grandmother can follow us because she's on Facebook.
And then we have teasers that we post every Tuesday about the current episode that week.
Upcoming episode, yeah. And we are back. There was no sleep until Brooklyn because we got to get through the spoiler wall. That was really well done.
We did not rehearse that. That worked out pretty good.
That felt really good.
Wow, look at us. Okay, so in case you don't get the message, we are past the spoiler wall.
Yes.
We slept in Brooklyn, and now we are out. And if you don't want to be spoiled...
We committed the cardinal sin of sleeping in Brooklyn. We didn't listen to the warnings.
No, there's no sleep till Brooklyn. Once you get there, it's fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, you're right.
It's like Mogways. You can't feed them after midnight. It's like, what does that even mean? 6 a.m. is technically after midnight.
So if you're driving to Brooklyn, you just got to make it one haul.
You're like, but I'm in Tallahassee, Florida.
Too bad.
Too bad.
No sleep till Brooklyn.
Get that Red Bull. But yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, this is your out. Time to leave because we're doing all spoilers all the time. And we're kicking off with a little trivia.
Here we go.
All right, we already covered some of the big ones here at the start. Honestly, there's not a ton out there. So I want to throw this down here. If y'all were aware, Nathan Fillion has a cameo in every Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Who's Nathan Fillion?
Oh my!
So he doesn't like Firefly.
Oh, is he the guy that's the fake Gene Starwind in Firefly?
Gosh. The fake what?
Gene Starwind.
What's a Gene Starwind?
He's not Gene Starwind.
Who is Gene Starwind?
You're just mad because you're bad. Anyway.
You're the worst.
I'm not even going to answer that.
So
I'm Googling it, and if I'm disappointed, get ready.
He's the main character of Outlaw Star.
Oh, Andrew, you've got an Outlaw Star tattoo. Is that not enough for you?
I have.
You've got to bring it into podcast.
I could go on a dissertation about Firefly being a cheap copy of Outlaw Star.
Maybe that's a bonus episode idea.
I've seen both. It's not.
It sure is.
He just thinks it is. No, it's not. Anyways, so back to Nathan
correct me if I'm wrong. You may have this looked up. I think Nathan Fillion has had a cameo in almost every James Gunn movie.
I'm not sure about that.
He's been in a lot of stuff that Gunn's done.
Anyways,
continue.
But for the first one, he voices one of the prison inmates. For the second one, he is actually featured on film posters in the background. So he's like a movie star in that.
Oh, okay.
And then the third one, he is Master Karja.
Yeah.
Who's Master Karja?
He's the head of security guy.
He's the guy that looks like Nathan Fillion that talks to them for an entire scene.
Oh, that's that guy.
Yeah, he's the head of security guy on the weird...
Wearing like the tardigrade suits.
With the meat suits.
The flesh
It's like tardigrades.
planet.
You know those?
They are tardigrades, yeah. The meat suits. They are... Oh, gosh. That whole scene's
That's
like...
the only thing I thought of was just, he's in a meat suit.
I am glad, though, that they were like, how do we make this weird? And I was like, I got something for you.
When they pulled the flesh plug out, I was like,
I know. Yeah.
Okay. Whoa, man.
Moving on. Trivia.
All right, so back to fun, happy things. I got a good one for you. So I'm going to mispronounce her last name. Karen Gillian?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, cool. I'm always like, is it Jillian or is it Gillian?
I think it's Gillian.
I'm going to go with Gillian.
I don't know.
Anyway, so she accidentally scheduled a couples therapy session on the same day as shooting. So she had to attend therapy in her full Nebula makeup.
I love that. Her husband's like,
nice.
do you see what I deal with?
Do you see what I have to live with? Look at these black eyes. How am I supposed to read any emotion?
And she's like method, so she's like in character. I don't know. You tell me.
I love running my hands through her long hair. Look at this.
Oh my God.
So this is one of two 2023 films starring Chris Pratt to feature No Sleep Till Brooklyn by the Beastie Boys.
Oh, they had it in.
It's in Super Mario Brothers.
I put that out of my my mind because I hated it in that film.
When we were in the movie, Lauren's like, "This is the second film we've seen this year with this song in it." I was like, "It also has Chris Pratt." So James Gunn revealed that Rocket's obsession with prosthetics stems from his Subject 89 Cage friends. So in 1 and 2, I need you to bring me that man's leg, and I want that man's eye, is related to all of this.
He can try and fix them, probably.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Or just because he really loves the prosthetics. Maybe he wants to wear them.
Yeah.
Let's see. We already covered. Oh, okay. So we got an interesting one. This is getting into maybe plots a little bit. So at the end of the movie, right, Groot says, "I love you guys,"
Sure.
as opposed to "I am Groot."
Yeah.
And no one reacts that he spoke English because the whole idea, as they already revealed prior to that, is
That they can just kind of they understand it. So
no,
then they
no, that's not the point. Well, the point is that the better you know him, the easier it is to understand him.
Yeah.
So like Gamora throughout the film is like, you're just making up what he says, and at the end of the film, she understands him.
Yeah.
And at the very end of the film, the audience understands him. We're all friends with Groot.
Yeah. I mean, that
was the whole catch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be that one person in the background be like, wait.
We'll get into some other plot pieces. There are other pieces I was really hoping we would get. But before we hit into spectacle, one final piece because it relates to spectacle. So the film set the record, this is so awkwardly phrased, for the most makeup appliances used.
Gross.
Makeup appliances?
Right? Okay. So more than 23,000 prosthetics were used across more than 1,000 actors.
I mean, there's a lot of practical.
I feel like what they really want to say is makeup applications.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not appliances. But I pulled the words like, this feels terrible, but I'm going to leave it.
That's probably a spell check error
Yeah,
or something. Yeah.
Autocorrect got someone. But yeah, so they put a ton of effort into costuming and prosthetics. So on that note, spectacle?
Sure.
Yeah, I thought the spectacle was great. The only thing I didn't care for spectacle wise was the scene where Rocket is like passing away, going to like little animal heaven or whatever. It was a bit heavy handed with like the glowy white. It looked fine, but it was kind of like that's the only thing that stood out to me as being like, okay, that's a choice.
This is a generic version of the afterlife or whatever.
Everything else, like I like the flesh stuff on that whole space station.
Just don't
But I loved it because it looked good. Like, I was
no.
oh, this looks like skin.
It looked good. It was just gross.
It was
very off-putting.
Evangelion, like melting creatures.
I don't know about
Which
that.
Evangelion you watching?
Sorry, not Evangelion. I crossed
Akira?
Well, Akira works for us too. Actually, I was going to go with
Pick another weird
the
anime.
end of Nausicaa.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That's what I was really
yes,
going with.
Okay.
I can agree there.
Yeah.
But I was like, Evangelion.
Yeah, I said that, and I was like, "Cool, that doesn't sound right." But it had a
Cuts the
giant. Get in the flesh station.
Yeah, but I agree. Like I can see that the reason that they spent or that this set the record for like number of makeup appliances used because there's so many people that like are done up practically that look really good
as aliens,
yeah.
etc.
The costumes are really good too.
This is just a question. We're going to get to this section here in a second, but
Sure.
Is James Gunn and Sean Gunn related? Are they brothers?
Yeah, it's his brother.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Okay.
Oh, okay, wow. All right.
Yeah, Sean
I
Gunn.
was just pulling up the
Sean
cast
Gunn
so
also
I can-
does a lot of the mocap for
He is
Rocket.
all the mocap for Rocket.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
He's this little man in a green suit. There's
Yeah, the behind the scenes stuff is great when you see him.
the end of the first Guardians where it's just Chris Pratt sitting with his hand on Rocket's head, and the behind the scenes is just Chris Pratt sitting with his hand on Sean Gunn's head in a green suit while he just sits there and stares straight ahead.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
So for spectacle for me, like I thought it was shot really well. There was some really like pretty fantastic sequences. In particular, the hallway battle.
Oh yeah, that hallway
when
scene.
they all
well
get
done.
together.
Where they're
and-
fighting the bad guys from Doom.
Yeah,
what it
the
felt like.
Hellspawn were
bit,
very interestingly designed.
I can't wait for somebody to take the music from Doom, like the
it'd be great.
2018,
Oh, yeah.
add it to that hallway.
The Doom soundtrack from 2018 is phenomenal.
Right, just
It's
put
so
that
good.
underneath the hallway scene. I want to see how it works. I bet it works.
I
Fine.
bet it works great on YouTube. Yeah.
But yeah, like the only thing that really kind of didn't really do it for me was the utopian society that was just like Counter Earth. I didn't like all of the I don't know,
like the character, like the
character designs didn't do it for me because it was just it was too uncanny valley. I think maybe is where I kind of landed on it.
I think maybe that was the point, though. Honestly.
Yeah,
it was supposed to make you uncomfortable. That like this is the I'm saying literally. I don't know if they were like, let's make this uncanny valley. But like.
They were.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because that's the thing is like a lot of parts of this film really feel like they're meant to make you uncomfortable. And that is totally fine. Like, films can do that and should do that sometimes to make you want to revolt a little bit of like, ugh.
They were just,
this isn't a utopia. This is horror.
This is terrible. Look at that guy's ears.
Yeah. But no, I thought the spectacle of it was quite good. I mean, like the CGI was really, really solid, especially for the mocap and the animations for the animals.
I mean, again, I talked about it before, but like Rocket, like even him as like a young raccoon, that stuff, like was fantastically animated.
The final scene of him like picking up all the baby raccoons and him like staring, oh god, just
even the way
please.
The baby raccoons moved when they were on him, it looked like they mocapped little baby raccoons. I don't know what they did to animate that, if it was by hand or what, but like it moved. They moved. They didn't have that weird CG. Rubbery movement.
Yeah.
What about you, Steve?
So, I thought there were a couple of sequences that were really well shot. The hallway fight scene, we already brought that up. Really well choreographed. A couple of really cool camera plays. The bit where they not introduce him, but the High Evolutionary with the spin as the kid's running around the infinite treadmill.
Yeah, that was a cool shot.
That was a cool shot. They did that early on with the fight scene on Nowhere where Drax gets flipped out of the window and the camera flips with him.
Yeah.
There were a couple of things where they're kind of flexing a little here and there.
Yeah.
I think the big emphasis on costuming, makeup, and like I really hate the orgoscope or whatever it's called, the flesh planet.
I loved it.
Yeah, because it was really well done.
I loved how gross it was.
You're just like, oh.
Yeah. Block that out of my memory. Just that flesh plug. Just.
Just that name. That's just.
It just gives you the heebie-jeebies.
Call me the flesh plug. No, never. Get out of here.
Why would you say it that way?
But yeah, I mean, I thought the CGI was really good.
Yeah.
Like you said, they had to put a lot of heavy emotions on these animals.
Well, I think too, especially comparing it directly to Ant-Man Quantumania, right? There was a lot of stuff in that one where like it looked like the quantum realm was just there's a ceiling to
roof.
There was a lot of like the costuming of some of the extras were just kind of like random. Here, just put this on. This is fine.
Just be a Wastelands person.
Yeah, like it felt not phoned in necessarily, but just not as up to this caliber. Like this felt like a lot of TLC went into everything. The set design,
it was James Gunn's last film for MCU.
I mean, Disney fired him, and they're like, "Hey, come back." He's like, "Oh, I got a list for you, boys."
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that earlier with the F-bomb of like, I guarantee when he came back, he's like, "Let me tell you how we're gonna do this."
I mean, it was so perfectly timed, though.
It's gonna be gross. I'm gonna have a really good timed F-bomb.
Give me a little Stepford Wives, Uncanny Valley, weird animal creature, suburban hell.
Yeah. All the James Gunn wish list.
Yeah, just going down the list.
So have you guys seen the Suicide Squad that he did?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I probably never will.
It's actually pretty good. But okay, cool.
Well,
never mind. I guess I'll move on with my thoughts.
Killed the mood.
Wow. Sorry for bringing it up. Didn't know it was such a sensitive subject.
So, Ryan, I'm just saying, he says, I never will. Add it to the calendar.
I mean, that's fine. You guys can do that.
You gotta do it
adding stuff to the calendar.
If you're going to do this to me with Indiana Jones 4, by God.
I'm here so I don't get fined.
What I was going to say about it is it's shot really well. There's a lot of special effects, but it's extremely gross and extremely gory.
That's why I don't watch it.
It felt like James Gunn got fired from Marvel and was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do everything they told me I couldn't do at Marvel. And then like... This feels like he's like, I'll come back, but I'm doing some of the weird stuff you wouldn't let me do in the other ones,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, let's move on into performances.
Yeah.
Andrew?
So I'm just going to go ahead and pull it out. Chukwudi Iwuji did an amazing, phenomenal job.
Like the biggest
as the High Evolutionary.
Of him as a character is that we don't get to have him for another film.
He was
my only complaint with him. I loved him for the first half of the movie. The back half, really all they gave him to do was just scream and yell.
It gets a little unhinged.
He was so creepy and so interesting at the front that's my only knock. Is it?
Yeah,
that's not him necessarily.
That's the script.
that's
Right?
It just felt like I wish he did so good in that early section. I wish we could have, like you say, had him in multiple projects. I wish we could have had him be more of that character towards the end instead of it kind of devolving.
Like somewhere there's a different timeline where we have like a 3-film arc, and our big bads of it are Gore the God Butcher and the High Evolutionary. And it's like they're there for like 3-4 films, 2 each or something like that. And it's just going, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like he did a phenomenal job. He really made me want to just like punch him in the face.
It was
so satisfying at the end.
The like nonchalantly, like the way that he would just say stuff.
Just pure evil and
so
just non-caring.
Yeah.
So my other pick would be Maria Bakalova. She is Cosmo, the space dog.
Oh yeah,
And
fantastic.
that is the character that now we have had
Cosmo's
cameos.
Been in cameos,
But the holiday special is when she actually joins the crew.
Okay.
And it's like, so I started watching the film, in volume 3, and I was like, have we met? Like, I know who this dog is because we've seen her in other films, but as cameos and not like no speaking roles, no explanation of her powers or anything like that. I'm like, did I just forget that she was in like an actual role in volume 2? Right. No, she was in the holiday special.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's when she joins.
Yeah.
So, but she did a great job. I had a lot of fun just with the character itself.
Oh, well, your introduction, if you haven't seen the holiday special, the introduction to her as a character in this film is good enough that I didn't sit there and be like, man, I missed something, or like, is there backstory I need to know? I was just like, oh, it's the dog that was in the cage at the collectors. Yeah. And that was all. Okay, that's all I need.
I liked her dynamic with Kraglin too, Sean Gunn, but his character, because I liked that whole, like, he calls her a bad dog, and this is just like, she cannot handle it.
The bit where they're playing poker, and it's just like, he called me a bad dog. And the dog's like,
get over it.
Yeah.
Can you just
Howard
tell?
the duck sitting there. I was like, yes, they brought Howard in again.
I had the broker there.
Yeah, but no, she was really, really fun, and I like that that her character had like an actual plot relevant role and wasn't just like
part of
comedic relief.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were my 2. We don't have to do 2. Those were just the 2.
We're limiting to 2.
No, you only get 2. That's the thing here. We've done it every episode. You only get 2.
You only get 2. Well, my 2, number 1, I would go with Zoe Saldana. I thought her Gamora in this was great. I love that we went back to like the daughter of Thanos version where she's kind of a jerk.
She was a little stiff for me at the beginning.
Yeah, it took a minute for it to really
like kind of ramp up into like But after, she still did good.
I loved it. I loved her like portrayal of, because I was really worried we were going to just have like a situation where they just pick back up
a redemption arc. They're back together.
They're back together, and I'm so glad they didn't go that route. And her portrayal of this different Gamora, I felt was like good enough to be different to where you could understand by the end of the movie, like, oh, this is literally like a different person. Type of person.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Because again, especially with Peter Quill, his whole thing of like his arc in this is like trying to deal with the fact that she lost her, and this she's right here. She looks just like her, but this isn't her.
It's not her.
Yeah.
So I'll shout out his performance a little bit. Like I do think that for Chris Pratt, the movies he shines the best in are in the Guardians movies.
Because he gets to be a little bit of himself, and there is definitely enough emotional pull there that you could actually like see him acting.
Oh yeah,
when he doesn't really act.
When he's beating on Rocket's chest and like saying, I'm not gonna go. Like I was like, wow, like we don't see that side of Chris Pratt enough in other stuff. I
want to see the behind the scenes of that. Sean Gunn on a table and he's just getting wailed on.
Quit hitting me.
It's probably just a stuffed version of
no. It's his brother directing it. He was like, Sean, get in there. And they're like Chris, come over. I got some special instruction for you. Hit him hard.
I don't want to get in there. And then, I don't know. Bradley Cooper, obviously I've talked about the animators, but I think Bradley Cooper doing Rocket did a really good job.
Yeah. I mean, like there's definitely a lot of moments in there that are very hard to watch. Because like, was he the young version of him as well?
So on the IMDb, it says that Sean Gunn was Young Rocket, but I don't know if that means he did like mocap for Young Rocket
or if he was the voice.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's labeled as Kraglin / Young Rocket, so I don't know what that means.
It was very hard to watch some of the Young Rocket stuff. Especially, I mean, his first words being "hurt" is just like,
oh yeah, that's like hurt me in my heart. Just saying that.
Whoa. Yeah, I think thinking about the voice, that may have been Sean Gunn, but I'm really not sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's labeled as that, so that may be what it is. He voiced the Young Rocket.
Yeah.
Just to make it sound different enough to where it's not.
Yeah.
Because Rocket's kind of already like modulated a little bit Bradley Cooper, so maybe they're like, we don't want to just pitch that up.
We don't want to make it sound like an adult Bradley Cooper as this.
What about you, Steven?
So
who's your two?
I only get two. Oh, I got to make a choice here. I mean, y'all are covering some of the big bases here, so I'm just going to hit some favorites. Dave Bautista. I think he's
always really fun.
He's honestly, I have not seen a film he's in yet where I was like, man, I wish he wasn't here.
Yeah, he's just a fun guy.
He's just, but even I mean,
he's a good actor.
He's in Dune. He's pretty good there too.
Even in Blade Runner 2049, man, his part, emotional. Yeah,
but like. He got a little bit more to do here as Drax. I really liked the dynamic of the three of Drax, Nebula, and Mantis. Where they were kind of separated out, and they had the big fight. And he actually gets to really kind of be the character. Like with the, I can tell that you don't have any kids, right? You know, when I had a daughter, and so I really like that his character got a little more to turn around in.
Yeah.
But also because a lot of the comedy kind of revolves around Drax interjecting stuff. I felt, again, because I wasn't quite as hitched to the up and down as Andrew was, it felt like it just kept hitting over and over again. And because this is the right kind of comedy for me.
Yeah. I especially liked the scene where Mantis, he's like, you think I'm stupid? And she's like, yeah. And then he gets upset and then she makes him forget. And then he's like, of course I am, whatever. He just blazes.
Did you see me knock down that door?
Yeah, he's just like right back to being normal.
So my wife and I had a discussion about like how long does that effect last? It was like, that he is both stupid enough and also willing enough to play along with it. Even if it wears off, he still just goes with it.
Still fine.
Yeah, he's just going for it.
But I thought his portrayal of like being able to bounce from one extreme to the other was like really good.
But like the bit with him on the stupid couch where he kept trying to lay like, sit up.
And that one time where he's just like slowly and his eyes are closed.
Why is it here?
And stuff like that just but mostly really I think what I want to highlight is you can tell that this is a group of people that have been working together for several movies
and enjoy working together.
Yeah, the chemistry. Like if there's some tell-all that comes out and it's like this dude was a total dick and they all hate each other, and it's like, man, y'all are great actors. Because from my perspective, there's just phenomenal chemistry all across the board here. Even kind of the negative chemistry you need between Pratt and Saldana now because of how her character has changed. Like the last little bit, again, because we thought, well, maybe there's a redemption, but when she's leaving and they're like talking back to back.
Oh yeah.
I was like, that was the point where, again, it felt like her character finally like defrosted enough. Yeah. That I was like, I enjoy this dynamic. And I was like, please don't put them back together.
Right.
Yeah. And, well, and that's, and that's also the moment where he's like, okay, this is not the Gamora that I fell in love with. This is still Gamora, but it's just not that same dynamic anymore.
Yeah.
And he came to terms with that.
Yeah, it's like the scene where he's coming to terms with it. She's like growing a little bit and deep.
Well, she's seeing more. Right? I mean, throughout it, she kind of refused to be part of it because
this version of Gamora, like she was just in Thanos' crew, and then he's like, well, he's dead now because we killed him because we all came back from time and fixed it.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then you're like, well, you're a good person now, right?
And we're just really lucky that when Iron Man snapped, he was like, take away everyone of Thanos' army except for Gamora.
Except for
and Nebula, right?
Well, no,
she was good at that point.
Yeah, the old Nebula was already dead.
Old Nebula was already gone.
I forgot about that,
yeah. I've always wondered about that when he snapped, like, everybody but Gamora. He's like whispering real fast.
Well, at that point, he doesn't even know that she's turned to.
That's why I was like, "How does she make it?" Like,
look, Endgame is a very entertaining and fun movie. It is not a good film.
No. See, the key here is
there's a lot of you could poke holes in it, but I still love it.
He goes to snap. He's like, "Everyone, but why is Gamora?" And it snaps.
yeah.
All right, let's move on to the score.
This was definitely the weakest part.
Yeah,
especially coming from the other two, which had like really good uses of music, where
Yeah.
I think this one had the least good use of music.
It still did good in some scenes. Like there is still
like the Beastie Boys bit. Hell yeah,
that was good. The Space Hog song, In the Meantime, that one played really good. That one worked out. There's a couple of moments where like it hit, and I was like, okay, good. The beginning with Creep, the acoustic version was like, okay,
it was interesting. It was a choice.
It took me a minute to like, but I think now that I've seen it, I think they were trying to let you know up front, like,
hey, this is a little bit dour.
We're doing a different tone on this one. And then the ending with the Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machine was fine.
I think that was a little out of place.
It felt a little weird. Like, and I think what's happened is, again, as we saw in like the Zune, like we've gone from like 60s and 70s to like kind of 80s and 90s. And now we're up into like the late 90s aughts, you know? And so I think it's just the selection of songs to pick something that hasn't been used 100 times already.
Yeah, because Dog Days were like rife with every film that existed for like 20 years or 10 years.
That one specifically felt weird to me.
I think it's just because it's too soon.
Yeah, it worked for the scene.
Yeah.
It just it didn't hit like some of the other stuff did. But I agree, like the score was pretty serviceable. I don't remember hearing anything that I was like, oh, that don't fit.
I felt that they needed more of the actual Guardians theme, though.
Yeah, they didn't really do
the
enough of
first
that.
real like the actual like instrumental Guardians theme is fantastic, and they only used it maybe once that I could remember. And it just didn't.
I'd have to go back
it didn't really even hit. It wasn't like oh, this is the
like
moment.
when the title card hits or something. Yeah.
So, well, obviously we don't want it for the title card there unless you did it at the end.
Right, yeah.
But like even just because we have the
Or like the hallway scene maybe. Or
like it just didn't really like have that kind of moment in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steven?
Well, so I was trying to find. There's a YouTube video out there. If I can find it, I'll throw a link somewhere. I don't know. Of basically kind of going over how like the music in the Suicide Squad doesn't work. Like the pop music within it doesn't really work.
The original Suicide Squad.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like the
Just like the pop music doesn't work in Mario.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this one really felt like, again, it's a new guy. Presumably, I don't know who gets to control how the music gets picked.
I feel like
is it
James Gunn is really into
those choices.
He's probably very instrumental in those choices. Maybe not the actual background BGM music.
Probably not a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Because it felt like there was almost an over-reliance on pop music and not enough, especially now granted when we had kind of the big emotional scenes, I think there was good kind of subtle music behind it.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily overbearing or whatever, because that's not the story they're telling.
Right.
But the pop music really stood out in this one because it felt like it was very forced to be the term is what diegetic.
Yeah,
where it's in the
universe.
It's in the universe versus like when you go all the way back to Guardians 1 and your introduction to Star-Lord.
Yeah.
And he's singing along. It like makes perfect sense and it fits the scene and it adds the humor. I don't feel like any of the songs we had in this ever rose to that point.
No, I think the problem there though is like it's almost an unfair comparison of it because like that first song hitting in the first Guardians, you're like, what is this? Like they're playing this old
sets the
song.
tone.
Like it's an immediate like, oh, this is a different movie. We're in store for something
different.
Where at this point you can't pull that card out anymore because we already know it.
You're almost always you're already expecting how you're looking for like, okay, how you got to do music this time. Yeah. And again, there's a couple of songs that hit, like Crazy on You hit at one point from Heart, and that worked for me. There's just overall there's it's like a 50-50 for me. Like some scenes hit, some scenes didn't, where I feel like the other ones, they were almost always hitting.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Like Beastie Boys here, it works. It worked.
Yeah.
Great for what it was. It was, again, really weird to be like, this is the second movie I've heard this in like last month.
Yeah.
What the heck?
But it didn't deserve to be in Mario.
No, it shouldn't have been in Mario. There are a lot of things that should have been in Mario. But that's a different review that we have.
That you can go listen to right now.
There it is.
Shameless
in
show.
stereo.
Okay, well that's probably enough on the music.
Yeah.
Let's bump over to the plot.
Did James Gunn forget that Star-Lord has a helmet that lets him
This is
breathe in space?
Andrew's pet peeve
Possibly,
right
I'm not. It was a different looking outfit, so maybe this one doesn't have the helmet attached.
According to James Gunn, he just left it in a drawer on nowhere.
That's an
That tracks.
official response from him on Twitter was that they had to leave so fast.
When he was hungover from the first, he didn't grab it. Yeah.
I think that's a stupid reason.
Okay. That's certainly your opinion.
Andrew is big mad about this. In case you didn't know,
I could see that.
Well, look,
you're turning red.
You have all of these pieces of technology that have trivialized a lot of problems that exist in interstellar travel.
Sure, yeah.
And just interstellar species and all this other kind of stuff. They have these med packs that are just magical, that can just cure anything, broken bones, whatever. They have defibrillators in them. That's fine. Like, I can at least understand that one.
Yeah.
But like, it just seems so trivial whenever someone gets hurt now, because you run into this thing of like, oh, well, they'll just fix it.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Drax also takes like 2 gunshots, like plasma blast or whatever, one to the front, one to the back, and like they do a whole scene of like, this is him dying.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's totally fine.
Which they did. Now, granted, they did definitely play the who dies in this one fake out, right? Like the whole bit where like the scene of like Drax carrying Star-Lord in his arms.
Yeah.
Like, looks like he's dead and the whole crew's there. It's just him passed out drunk at the start, right? So they were playing with that throughout all the marketing and everything.
trailers,
else too.
and they made it
Yeah.
out like Rocket was going to die in the
Yeah.
trailers. To a degree, you know, like,
But it's that kind of like, I think I only watched the trailer one time, but it's that kind of storytelling with this is an MCU problem. This is not a James Gunn or Guardians problem, but this is just a big problem with comic books, and I'll say like Dragon Ball Z and Shonen style shows where they literally don't have the stomach to kill characters.
right. I for a second were like, they're about to kill Star-Lord.
I expected
Okay.
them to
That's
kill
what I expected.
somebody.
And I would go as far as to say I think the movie may be better if they had, but then I really do like that reconciliation with the granddad. At the end.
Like that was good.
Oh, that was good.
But it's definitely one of those things where I think the overall story would have been better had he died. Like saving Gamora or something like that. And then you don't have to run into this like kind of like weird realm that he still exists in the universe, even though
if we had kind of that reversal play, right, go all the way back to Guardians 1 where he saves Gamora with his helmet in space, like sacrifices himself, right?
Yeah.
And if it's just literally where she's screaming why, and he's just because, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like he's saving the woman he loves who doesn't love him, who isn't the woman he
Right.
that could have been like, but again, at that point, there's already so much in this film. It's almost hard to put that there. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree. That's the thing is like, but it bothers me so much whenever you have these like Nebula's arm is just a plot device that says I can fix anything that
her
happens.
whole body, like her head snaps back, like everything comes back together.
Yeah, but specifically her arm in this one is different than
It's a
in
Swiss
other
Army
movies.
knife.
It becomes the Cap from Lightyear, where it's just like
It's like, oh, you need a flamethrower? I'm a flamethrower now.
Right, yeah.
And it's just, it bothers me so much whenever you have these like really well put together films that have good emotional weight, and just everything else around it just doesn't do anything to service it except for the plot whenever they need it.
right, yeah. Because again, like just a scene explaining. Like just a simple throwaway line of like, all right, let's jump out into space. I don't have a helmet. Where's your helmet?
Yeah.
I left it in the drawer.
Joke.
That's it.
How could you forget your helmet? We're
It's
always
your
in
whole thing.
space.
You've got the red eyes. Like,
it would be perfect.
Yeah. So, and I don't know what ended up on the cutting room floor. There could have been a scene that does explain it, and then they were just like, for time, they were like, we don't have time for
It
this.
was a pretty long film.
Right. So like,
felt long. Yeah.
I think it's like 2.5 hours or something like
Yeah.
that. So like, yeah, it could have been a situation like that. But I do agree that didn't really bother me in this one, but in some movies it does. Where
Well, in my mind, like, because I have only seen all these films pretty much one time, and some films multiple years ago.
Yeah.
Where like, whenever he goes in space, I'm like, doesn't he have a helmet that just like stops this? And then it's like, oh no, I guess not. Okay. And then like that was the whole thought process.
no, I was
me.
weirded out by that too.
Yeah.
Of like,
Yeah.
huh.
Well, and like again, without incorporating the helmet at any point in the film, right? Like there's kind of just a missed opportunity for, like a suit up scene for him, right? Where he's like, pulls the guns and the helmet. Like the fight.
Where's my helmet?
Yeah. Or like the fight with the High Evolutionary, right? When they go back to back with Groot. Groot produces all the guns. If Groot hands him his guns and then he like comes up, locks and loaded, and the helmet snaps up. Oh, chef's kiss, right? Perfect scene.
Yeah.
And some of it may just be that they're like, hey, we want Chris Pratt's face on screen as much as possible. You know,
Could have been.
we pay him the money, put him out there.
I mean, there's a reason why we had the helmet extravaganza in Quantum Mania, where they would just take off their helmets every time they had to have a line of dialogue.
Yeah. Like, come on, guys.
I mean, that was my big.
So other than that,
plot.
did you have any plot issues?
No, not really.
Okay.
So my biggest complaint, and I think we all kind of were like, it felt like the movie's kind of long, is I think the emotional climax, which is kind of the Rocket story arc, happens too soon. There's too much resolution after that big emotional hoof.
Yeah.
And they either needed to land a little bit deeper in the fight and flight, or something needed to be trimmed there to let the energy coming off of that climax carry you through the resolution, because it felt like midway through the escape from the burning station or everything, I was kind of flagging, where I was like, man, like, when is this movie actually going to end?
Yeah, the exploding station, I understand it's a very large thing, but like it definitely felt like it was exploding for a very long time.
It did take its sweet time blowing up.
Yeah, and very convenient places.
Yeah, and nowhere near where anyone would be in danger.
Can you imagine if they have a scene where like they're trying to like get through this one door that blows up? They're like, we can't save those children. Like we just torch a whole bunch of children in
That's
cages.
called watching Gundam.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, besides that, again, so this is weird, right? Most of the time when you have flashbacks, it can like really interrupt the flow of a movie. What's the movie where we were like, oh no, it's Glass Onion, where it's like, here's a flashback.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool,
Oh, no, it's just
flashback.
a whole other
It's
film.
Just 30 minutes of a flashback.
Yeah.
But like the flashbacks in this film were kind of the best parts of it in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways, it was.
Where they
Yeah.
really like, I was ready for the next step in that reveal of like, get me to the next piece here. I want to see where they're going with like how, like, I know horrible things are going to happen. I want to see how
it
this
connects
plays
and
out.
happens,
So that's honestly kind of a big kudos.
Well,
to
because
them.
you want to see the turning point for Rocket.
Yeah. You wanna see the
you know
switch.
that these poor animals are going to die,
Right.
And they're going to die in a very emotionally brutal way. So you just want to get to that point because you want to see how he becomes so jaded and how he becomes who he is now.
Rocket Raccoon. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I thought, again, like I said earlier before the spoiler wall, like I think the emotional core and that story of Rocket, like that as an origin story for him was great.
That's
It was
fantastic.
very good.
All the flashbacks were great. I feel like everything around it was pretty good. It was a pretty good Guardians movie. I think something that is unfortunate nowadays is that because of the success of the first Guardians, so many of the Marvel movies feel like
They fed off that energy.
well, they feel like weirdos having fun in space. Like Thor: Love and Thunder tried to be. It felt like Guardians Part 3 or
Well, you
whatever.
had
Like
Guardians and then
2.5.
Ragnarok, and Ragnarok was kind of just like, use the Guardians formula, and then they're like, this is
Kind
how
of,
you make
yeah.
money, and it's like, oh.
but like, at least Ragnarok didn't have a ton of like, planet hopping and that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah,
So
but
the planet hopping does bother me in this, where again, this is a Star Wars problem too. It trivializes the distance that you have to go.
Now,
Yeah.
at least at this point within the Guardians universe, realm, whatever you want to call it, they've established that like space flight from point A to
It is
point B
completely
it's
trivial.
literally just, here's one set of hex panels, you go through it, here's another set, you're there. Like there is like literally never like we just hang out for an hour while we're traveling. The elevator music plays.
Just enough time to have a very small piece of mostly inconsequential dialogue.
Yeah, a
between
little
the crew.
snippet
Yeah.
of whatever, they can complain about something. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a convenience. It's not hard sci-fi.
Yeah, they've at least
I
like
know.
at least at this point, unlike say Star Wars, they've already made sure it was trivialized, and they've shown you how trivial it is. So you're not just like, dude, like he just left, he's right back. Like, yeah, it's actually how space travel works here.
Yeah.
But I think the plot line with Gamora and Quill, I liked that part
was
of
good,
it.
yeah.
It just felt, I guess, kind of overshadowed by the Rocket stuff. I didn't mind
should
it though.
be.
It should be.
Yeah.
At the beginning with Quill being like drunk, I thought we were going to do more with that.
Yeah, he kind of got over his general PTSD.
They put a med
pretty
pack
quickly.
on him, and all alcoholism gone. No hangovers.
Again, magical med packs.
Yeah.
So the Adam Warlock stuff was interesting because I
really liked his character.
I did not. That's going to be my next point. Keep going.
I liked his character maybe just because I don't know anything about the character itself.
That's where I'm coming from too.
But he felt very trivial for pretty much the whole thing. I wish that we would have gotten more of him to where we understand a little bit more of his character.
I felt like they only included him in this movie because they teased him at the end of 2. That's it. Because if you take him out of this movie, it doesn't really affect anything.
Not really.
His whole inciting moment at the front, right?
Yeah.
Which was really well done. I liked that fight. I thought it portrays how powerful he is and how they're in trouble.
He's kind of like the immovable object, but also kind of dumb.
Right.
So it's like,
yeah,
it could be very trivial or very problematic.
The problem is though that could have been anybody associated with the High Evolutionary.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be Adam Warlock. You know what I mean? And for the rest of the movie,
it could have been like a beefed up Hellspawn.
Yeah. The rest of the movie, it's just him bursting into things and causing trouble, bursting into things and causing trouble, bursting. And then at the end, I guess he's a good guy. And it's like, that's fine. It felt like an extra layer and an extra complication sometimes in scenes that I was like, why? Because
it felt like an extra B plot that we didn't really need.
Yeah.
Unless we had more of him and more explanation of where kind of his mental state was.
I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but in the original comics, like the Infinity Gauntlet story, I believe Adam Warlock is like a huge part of that.
Well, according to our fact checker, Nick, thank you for listening to the show, Nick.
Yeah.
And hating all of our choices that we make sometimes.
Listen, it happens.
Apparently, according to him, Adam Warlock was the one that stopped Thanos from using the gauntlet.
So I'm pretty sure what they
just
did.
ruin a whole line of comics. Gosh.
Oh, no.
Like you're just going to read them tonight. I think they kind of ended up in Endgame subbing out Captain Marvel for his role to a degree.
Yeah,
okay.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Loosely. It's all
feels
loosely based.
Proper,
Anyways.
like same power level.
But when they teed him up at the end of Guardians 2, I remember being like, oh, they're going to bring him in Endgame, in Infinity War.
Now you
Here
see
we go.
the Matrix, yeah.
And then they did, and I was like, oh, so he's just not here?
Where is he?
Sit on him for like 6 years. Cool.
And then then in this movie, I was like, oh, so okay, he's here, but he's dumb. All right. Interesting play. So I didn't hate it. I thought the actor that played him, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Yeah, Will Poulter. Did good for what he had.
So I just want to say, I could not place his face for the longest time.
He's in Dodgeball.
Is he?
Yeah, he's the. I think he's the guy in Dodgeball.
Is he in Dodgeball?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think he is. So do you know where I know him from? He was in Where Are the Millers?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Millers.
But it's not that because I didn't watch that. It's the meme that comes from it where it's like the "you guys are getting paid" meme.
Oh yeah,
he's the last tagline of that.
I'm thinking of someone else.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't think
it's not Dodgeball.
I saw him in Midsummer.
He's in the Maze Runner. That's what
he is in the Maze Runner.
Recognize him from.
But yeah, his face is very recognizable, and I was like, where do I know his face from? It's just from a meme.
Yeah,
which is from We're the Millers.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so to wrap up my thoughts on the plot was the point that made me cry, right? That got me.
Oh yeah, I want to hear this.
The point because I teared up at a bunch of spots, obviously with the rocket and that kind of stuff. The one that got me where I was like, oh, was when Nebula looks at Drax and's like, "You're not a destroyer, you're a dad." And I was like, "Oh,
that was a good."
I don't know why it got me so hard.
See, it's so funny because I thought that was one of the cheesiest.
Oh,
you're dead inside. I can't believe this.
That was a good line.
I never cry in movies, and I had to take my glasses off, and I was like, I couldn't hold it together.
What got me was whenever they were basically trapped in that little cage or whatever, and they were trying to communicate with the kids, and then he could communicate with them.
Oh yeah.
That got me.
So that didn't get me to the point of crying. I was just that's sweet.
I didn't cry throughout the whole film, but I got definitely really close a couple times.
I'm actually shocked that you didn't cry.
Well, mostly because I was between. It was a packed theater, so I was between one very big nerd and one very big nerd.
You don't want to cry between nerds, let me tell you.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the sweat knows the fear.
Yeah, so I tried to hold it in best I could.
Yeah.
Dude, the bit where Lila is like, but you have to go back, was just like, like, oh my gosh.
See, that one didn't do it for me because I saw it coming.
Well, I knew it was gonna happen. You know,
It still was impactful.
It's a
I was
very
still like,
all
oh,
dogs
man,
go
but I
to
didn't
heaven kind of thing.
Yeah,
Whatever,
I mean,
but
that whole scene was a little bit too Harry Potter for me from Deathly Hallows.
well, I mean, it's not just that it's Harry Potter. It's just too much of a trope, right? Like it's such a
Yeah, it
thing.
is.
It happens all the time.
Well, in like Matrix.
Yeah, I
and
mean-
well, you know, in Deathly Hallows in the second film, whenever Harry basically
Harry is the Horcrux, right?
allows him allows Voldemort to kill him, and then he goes back, and then him and
Not Gandalf.
oh what Dumbledore,
And then Frodo's there.
they're in the Grey Havens. You can see some elves walking around.
That's when Luke Skywalker shows up. Come on, we don't butcher this. Butcher it good.
And then Captain Kirk is like, Harry?
You're a wizard, Harry.
Jeez.
Look, it's an old dude with a beard who's a wizard.
Those are two very distinct characters. Just imagine Gandalf running over to Frogo. Did you put the ring in
Frogo?
It's Frogo.
Now we're changing their names.
Now it's becoming a fan fiction. He's putting his own insert characters in.
And then Gandalf says, Frogo, you must go to...
Oh boy, we've gone off the rails now.
Oh man.
Let's move into entertainment, yeah?
Let's be entertained.
It's a very hard movie to watch because the animal stuff, but I still was entertained from a film standpoint.
The thing is, like, it's hard to watch because it's well done. It's not, like, for the most part, it's not that it's hard to watch because you're just like, oh gosh, that's so gross.
Yeah, no, it is very emotionally charged.
Really well set up.
Yes.
It is, and I will say, in terms of just entertainment purely, right? Like it stuck with me a lot longer than anything else from like Phase 4 or 5. Like,
of course.
I was thinking about it later in the day. I was like emotional later in the day. I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I like all like, what is this?
Because Guardian.
I'm not used to feelings. I'm Ryan.
Feeling things.
I'm cold robot. Yeah, and like even today, like there was like moments today when I was just thinking about us recording tonight, and I was like, oh man, and I started to like feel, and I was like, I did not feel like after Ant-Man, that's for sure. Quantum Mania did not get me thinking like this.
No, that's the thing is like that. Like I said earlier in the cast, I don't think it's a fair comparison to compare literally anything that has come out from Endgame till now to this film.
It's No Way Home is as close.
No
as
Way
you
Home
get.
is good. Like it was a good film, but it just doesn't have the same emotional
I'm not saying
weight.
that it does. I think it's as close as you get between here and Endgame.
Yeah, for sure.
I have to say, I did have a horrible thought in the middle of this film where watching the, like Floor and Teefs and his animal friends.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, this is just like Sid's room in Toy Story.
It really is.
And I was just like, man, why did I think about that? And then as the movie progresses, like, I guess it's Sid's room in Toy Story if Sid shot his toys. Like, stop carrying this metaphor around. Like, give it, like, let it go.
Let it go away.
Movie, what are you doing to me?
Well, so you know that those characters are going to die because you need to have a watershed moment for Rocket to
be as salty as he is. Yeah.
Well, and they also, again, within the trailer, they made the fake out because they show Rocket greeting Lila, and it's almost like, is this like an old character from his old days? We're gonna be, and it's like, okay, well, here she is. So no, she's not gonna make it. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Well, so that whole bit, I mean, it was definitely hard to watch, but that's not what really kind of like did it in for me, like mentally wise. It was whenever he was showing Rocket like how they increase the evolutionary speed of things first, and then they just put a turtle in there, and it's just a red box turtle or tortoise. And the second that they did that, I was like, I'm out. Like, this is not what I want to watch.
Yeah.
Just because
what's funny is that scene, because you told me about that. You're like, oh, there's this scene, and like I was like, Lauren was averting her eyes, and I was like, man, that wasn't as graphic as I thought it was going to be based on his, because they just kind of cut away. It's just flames. Yeah, I was like the actual context of the scene is kind of horrifying.
Yeah, it's really just the context of it because like my wife and I, we've wanted a red box tortoise for a long time. And I mean, like, if you ever want to get into having a habitat for a tortoise, it's very expensive, just by the way. One reason why
Buyer beware.
They also live forever.
They also live forever, and they're also incredibly expensive to get ones that are actually legit, that are licensed and not, basically
I got a
bootlegged.
licensed
Or like
tortoise.
black
My
market
tortoise can
right?
drive.
Yeah.
What does your tortoise do?
But yeah, like that seems in particular, it's not that it was like overly graphic. It was the context of it that I was like, this is it for me. Like, and it happened so early that it took me a really long time throughout the film to really get past that, because every time we went back, I'm like, oh, what are they going to show us next? What's the next animal that they're going to kill?
Yeah.
A
bunny rabbit.
Yeah, well, they did, but
They kill a lot
That's
of
what I
rabbits.
But yeah, I mean, anyways, I won't bring it down anymore. But that's pretty much where my entertainment level was. Like, I think it is a very well put together film. I'll never watch this again.
I think what we're trying to say here, and all three of us are hitting on it to a degree, is that like your enjoyment of it is potentially directly connected to how off-putting scenes like that are. Like, for me, it didn't even faze me. Whatever. That's not to say I'm a monster or anything. I've never had an emotional attachment to like turtles specifically.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine.
Whatever. The rabbit, I was like, oh man. The turtle, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, whatever. But for you, it was like that was the thing that like took you out of the movie almost for a little while. You had to like come down. And then like Steven, you thought like, okay, that was contextually bad, but gragraphically you were picturing.
I was thinking it was just gonna be a very graphic sequence.
Right.
And I was like, I don't really want to have to watch this, but I'm like, it's one of those things, and it's so weird stuff to say about a Marvel film. It was a very powerful film. More so than you expect from the MCU. You know what I mean? Like that's what really just kind of like, am I watching like Schindler's List meets Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Like, what's going on right now?
And that's kind of the other thing for me too, is like, I've never read any of the comic books. I don't know any of the stories going into these. As far as I know, going into Volume 3, it was a completely original story that had nothing to do with any other comics that had come out. Other people know otherwise, right? So me going into this, I was expecting Guardians 1 or Guardians 2, just like, oh, this is just going to be another fun film of just ensemble cast doing shenanigans, and then you immediately get hit with all of these emotions. Because I only watched the trailer once. I knew it was like, oh, I'm pretty sure it's about Rocket's backstory. That's it. Like surface level. And then going into this, and I'm like, oh, this is a movie that's supposed to make me feel a way, and I was not
prepared for it
for this.
See, for me going into this, because again, I knew it was Rocket's backstory. Like in the first film, they have the bit where he gets drunk and he's like screaming at Quill. You're like, they tore me apart and put me back together. I didn't ask to be turned into this. And like when there's like all I could think of was that line. I was like, man, what are they gonna make? What is Gunn gonna?
What are they gonna show?
Yeah. So there was concern. It was not, for what was on screen, like violence wise, it was not as bad as I thought it could be. It just emotionally, like, whoa, man, that's way more than I thought I was going to get out of a Marvel film.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, well, it does kind of sound like we're winding down here. We're wrapping it up, but before we can let you go, we got to shill.
Yeah, we have a Patreon. So for Patreon, at just $1, you can get a whole slew of bonus episodes, bonus content. There we go.
Yeah.
Bonus content that comes out at least once a month. And maybe sometimes more, you never know. We have some great episodes that, us talking about pizza toppings, or
I love the pizza topping episode.
Or if we can, beat up presidents. You never know.
He loves the president's episode.
It's great.
It actually is great.
It's a great episode. But you know what? If you don't have $1 to spare, we get it. That's fine. Just like or share our podcast with somebody you know. Leave a review. If you listen to us on Apple, iTunes, if you listen to us on
Apple Music now, it's Apple Podcasts. Excuse me, we were wrong twice.
How many different apps do they have? Just have
too many.
If you have a Zune and you listen to us there, leave us a review. Follow us on Spotify.
Hit clips.
Yeah. Do you use Winamp like me, fellow teens? Yeah. Just share it with somebody that you think might like our stuff.
We would greatly appreciate it.
Give us a review. We'd love it.
Love a review. But that does sound like all the time we have for this episode. So till next time, I'm Steven.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Ryan.
And every spoiler was intended.